As Alberta's NDP leader Rachel Notley rides off into the sunset after a decade in the saddle, the party is expected to announce her replacement this afternoon with a diverse squad of candidates to choose from.
Albertans are looking for change, and they see the Alberta NDP as a credible vehicle to deliver that change.
The party will use a ranked preferential ballot system, which means the new leader must win with more than 50% of all votes. And joining me now to talk more about this is CTV News political commentator Scott Reid. Scott, welcome. What is your prediction for this leadership race?
Well, I think I'll hug conventional wisdom heavily and say that it's going to be former Calgary Mayor Nenshi. I think that's the common view. But, these races are unpredictable. And you mentioned in your intro that it's a ranked ballot. That means you have to consolidate support. Unpredictable things can happen in these conventions, and I've seen it happen before. But still, I think if you look at the tenor of the race, you look at the membership swell, the organizational advantages, and even the sense of, does the party want to go for the big name, the recognizable brand name of Nenshi or not? All signs point toward him having a victory.
Regardless of who wins, what does the Alberta NDP need in a new leader?
Well, a couple of things, and it's a really interesting question because on the one hand, Rachel Notley leaves the party in really strong shape. And by that, I mean this. If you look at polls generally over the course of the last number of years, obviously Rachel Notley won 2015, becomes premier. So that's a high water mark. But even since then, even losing a campaign, the truth is the NDP have been very competitive. The vote is about split. It really comes down to distribution. Can you win in places where you haven't won before? So she leaves the party as the credible, acceptable alternative to the current government. Eventually, all governments get defeated, and she has made it a permanent feature of the Alberta landscape that the NDP are the alternative and will again seize government at some point. What do they need to do coming out of this convention? Well, they've got to win in places they haven't been able to. They got to crack suburban seats. They got to crack a little bit of rural Alberta, particularly smaller centers. And they don't have to win in the absolute, rural and remote areas, but they at least have to win the smaller towns and cities around Alberta, not just be concentrated in downtown Calgary and urban Edmonton. That's the trick. Can they appeal beyond that?
What kind of legacy is Notley leaving? Do you believe that is it, bolstering the party?
Well, I think that's a pretty substantial legacy. I think that a couple of things. One, she has entrenched, as we've said, the NDP as the permanent alternative, and I think that's a significant accomplishment that wasn't true prior to her leadership, and that gives a sense of stability and permanence to the NDP. I think, secondly, she's also, pointed on the federal provincial map. I think she's got a legacy when we take a look at the oil and gas debates, the climate debate. And for New Democrats, particularly at the federal level, I think they have a lot to learn from Rachel Notley. She's demonstrated that you can be a strong progressive, but that you don't have to be a slave to identity politics or to the most extreme climate solutions, and that you can balance energy and climate challenges. And I think that's something that the federal NDP in particular have not been able to succeed at. I think that somebody might want to take a little bit of the Notley juice and sprinkle it over the next federal election. That would serve the NDP well.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. CTV News political commentator Scott Reid.